everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am a new mom. I'm 21 years old and I have a 2-month-old, so life has changed. I have a husband and 3 dogs, so I think you're gonna enjoy watching my videos. Even if you are a soon-to-be mom or a new mom or a mom in your 40s, subscribe. My first video that I wanted to share with you guys is my birth story. It was a very supernatural birth. I had the best pregnancy ever, I think, in my opinion. It was just so smooth. I had no complications. I prayed that how easy my pregnancy was, that it would just transfer into my labor, and I seriously think it was just that. So I was 38 weeks. It was the week of my 38th week, and I wanted the baby to come out. So I looked up some home remedies and ways to actually self-induce. So I actually bought like a huge pineapple and I literally like ate the whole thing. And supposedly pineapple really helps soften the cervix. I also asked my doctor what was another way to self-induce, and she said how you got the baby in is how you're gonna get it out, if you know what I mean. So we did that Saturday night, and Sunday at 3:30 a.m. I woke up with a contraction, and the contraction was like it was like, I wouldn't say it was like too painful, but enough to like wake me up, where I was just like, oh yeah, that's a contraction. And I never felt any contractions. This was my first baby, so I immediately knew that, hey, okay, this could happen this week or, you know, today. So I kind of like went back to sleep, and then 30 minutes later I woke up with another contraction, and it was like 10 times worse. So I woke up my husband and I said, I just had another contraction. I had one 30 minutes ago. So I asked him if he can time it. So they were progressively getting worse. So I literally like grabbed his hand and I was squeezing it so tight, and I had it on my forehead because I didn't know how to handle the pain. It was that painful. But I also was so certain that I was gonna go into this and give birth without any epidural. I was very certain, no matter how hard the pain was. I had already set in my mind that I was not gonna get epidural. So I was very, very scared, and I was scared because I knew that the pain was gonna get worse. So fast forward to 9 o'clock in the morning. Every contraction up until then was every 30 to 40 minutes apart. So I woke up my mom. My whole family was getting ready to go to church, and I said, you know, hey, today might be the day. I'm having contractions, and now they're about like every 20 minutes apart. I got in the shower and I let the steam hit me for a while, and for some strange reasons my contractions stopped. They were kind of like at a pause. So when I got in the shower, I have another contraction for about another 40 minutes. So I was up all night until 9 o'clock. So at 9:30 I had went to sleep to try to get some rest, and that's when the contractions completely stopped. I didn't get another contraction until about 10:30, which that's when I got discouraged because I thought he wasn't gonna come, and I was like, okay, well, he's obviously not coming today. He'll probably come in tomorrow or the next day or this next week, because I knew that you can have contractions like a week or a couple weeks up until you actually give birth. But I was completely wrong. So I took a nap, and then my cousin Jessica, she had texted me and she had said, hey, I'm bringing a birthing ball. We're gonna get this thing going. The baby's gonna come out today. So I was like, all right. So she came over around 11:30, and I ate breakfast and I started bouncing on the ball, and I was just watching TV, and that's when the contractions, literally from about an hour to every 20 minutes, the contractions came. So as I was bouncing on the birthing ball, my contractions started like speeding up so fast. We were timing the contractions, and after about an hour of me bouncing on the ball, my contractions were every 5 to 7 minutes apart. I literally had to like get up from the birthing ball, and I had to like hold something super tight and just stand there, because the pain literally felt like there were knives going in my, you know, hoo-ha. So it was very, very painful. Like, if you are not ready to feel this pain, then don't get pregnant. Really? Jackson, sit, lay down. The pain was so sharp, like I'm not even exaggerating. Anybody who has given birth can vouch. It feels like there are knives like hurting you and stabbing you everywhere. The pain was so difficult and so hard that I almost felt like I was gonna pass out. And I didn't know that I could handle it the way that I did, but I always knew in the back of my head that this is what I signed up for, so I was ready to conquer it. I was bouncing on the ball for 2 hours, and my contractions were every 3 to 5 minutes apart. And that time was around 1 o'clock, and that's when one of my great friends from my church came over, and she's a certified nurse, and she's like, hey, you're having this baby today, so let's do everything that we can. So she said, I'm gonna check you to see how many centimeters that you're dilated. When she checked me, it was around like maybe 2:30. Yeah, it was around like 2:30, and she checked me and I was 6 centimeters. And that like blew my mind. She's like, oh my God, you're 6 centimeters. She's like, I don't even have to strip your membranes. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. And then the craziest thing was, she's like, and I also feel your baby's head. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is mind blowing. I was like, that's it, it's happening today. I was so excited. At that moment, I knew that all my self-inducement remedies, I feel like they did help speed up the process. So she had checked me, my baby's head was there. And yeah, she said, okay, well, I think it was around like 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock. She said, get some rest, you know, try to at least take a nap or do some laundry. And I'm like thinking, do some laundry? No, like I literally feel like I'm dying. I tried to fall asleep. And then I had watched videos, and a lot of moms who didn't have epidural said to labor at home as long as you can. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to labor at home as long as I can, because I didn't want to do the same thing at the hospital that I could do at home, like in the comfort of my own home. To take a nap, and I looked at the clock and it was 3:15, and I was like, okay. I lay down, and something instinctual, it was like almost an instinctual feeling that told me that it's time to go to the hospital. I don't know how I knew. Maybe like Jesus up in heaven was telling me. I don't know. So I like got up and I was just like, it's time. I literally felt the baby coming down. Like I could feel him coming down. And so I like opened my door and I'm like, it's time to go to the hospital. And like everybody was like eating and just like was having a great time. And I was just like yelling. I was like, it's time to go. So like everybody was just like, are you serious? Like really, like you mean it? And I was just like, yes. I was like, we need to go now. Like we need to go, because my contractions were every like minute to like 2 minutes. So I couldn't even have time to get my bags. I told my husband, I was like, can you get my bags? Can you get this? Can you get that? And I'm just like in the corner, like trying to deal with my contractions. One thing that stood out to me, I asked my mom, I'm like, have my dogs ate? I wanted to make sure my dogs ate, because I just, you know, I don't know. So we got to the hospital, and my dad opened up my door and he's like, are you ready to have a baby? And he was just like in the most happiest moods. And honestly, I was not. So I was like, can you please stop? I'm like, please, I'm not in the mood for this. And he's like, okay. So I got into the elevator, and from thinking about it now, I can't even remember how I got into the elevator. But it was just like, it was like clips from what I remember. I was in so much pain. It was like memories, like clips of memories from what I remember. So I get to the receptionist, and she goes on to ask me like, what's my social security, what's my last name, what I had for breakfast, sizes my underwear. And I'm thinking in my head like, lady, I am in the middle of a contraction and you want to ask me all that? Like, no. So it kept going, and I think it was like 3 minutes went past, and I literally, like, I couldn't even control what I was doing. I like slammed my hand on the desk, and I was like, I need a room. I said, I'm about to give birth. Like, I felt like pushing. It was happening so fast. He looked at me like I was this crazy person. Like, come on, you should have got used to this by now. So she's like, okay. So she like called the nurse. I walked to one of the rooms where they had made sure that I was in labor. So they like put something on my belly to check the baby's heart rate, and they checked my contractions and all that, and they're like, yeah, you're in labor. So they wheeled me over to my delivery room, and my midwife came in, which she's amazing. I loved her. Shout out to my midwife girl, yeah. So my midwife came in and she was asking me questions, and I tried to answer the questions to the best of my ability. And the first thing that the nurse said, she obviously greeted herself and, you know, said whatever she said. What are we doing for pain medication today? And like with everything inside, I said nothing. I said, we're not doing pain medication, Jesus, not today. And she's like, okay, I won't ask you again. She's like, you go ahead and do you, girl. So I really appreciated that from the nurse, that they weren't like so pushy with the epidural. They said, you can do it, you don't need pain medication. She said, we encourage people to go all natural. So I was 9.5 centimeters, and that's when she broke my water. When she broke my water, my contractions got 1,000 times worse. I almost felt as if she had told me that my water was kind of like a self epidural, because it wasn't as painful as it was after my water had broke. When she had broke my water, that was around 5:50. I had went to use the bathroom. After I was done using the restroom, I got up. The moment I got up, I felt the baby come down, and I was like, oh my, I was like screaming. I was like, the baby's coming, I gotta push, Open the door, and my midwife, she's a very calm demeanor person. She comes in, she's like, so you have to push? And I was like, yes, I gotta push, get me to the bed. So I got to the bed. She had checked me, and I was 10 centimeters, and she said, okay girl, go ahead and push. Put my legs back, and 20 minutes later, only 20 minutes of me pushing, my little baby boy was born, and he was born at 6:19. I started pushing at 6 o'clock, and he was born at 6:19, and I did it without epidural. So it was just the best experience ever. I had zero tearing, no stitches involved, no needle in my spine. So I would say that it was so worth it of not getting the epidural. It was hard, it was difficult. This makes sense, it was not tolerable, but it was tolerable. But if anybody who has the courage to do without the epidural, go for it. You can do it. Your body was made for it. You know, think about it. 50, 60, or 100 years ago, 200 years ago, there was no epidural. The ladies had to do it on their own, no pain medication. If they could survive in the past, you can do it now. So that was my birth story for my little Liam. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for my next video.